Hey English 345 students, welcome to week 4 of our class. I hope you enjoyed week 3, learning about some new sounds that human beings can make in their language, sounds that you might not have heard about before, that you also enjoyed learning about the vocal tract and all the different ways that we actually make sounds in our language. So, as always, be sure to start every week of our class with the course information tab over here, and we can there look at our schedule for the week. So let's go ahead and download that and take a look at that together. Okay, so as you remember last week, you looked at assignments 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. So as I mentioned before, you had a chance to listen to the click song and learn about a new sound there. You learned about how humans produce speech. It comes all the way from our lungs and travels its way up through the windpipe, the trachea, and into our vocal tract. And you wrapped up last week by taking a quiz on all the different parts of the vocal tract. This week we're going to be moving into assignments 2.4 through 2.7. There's quite a bit to dig into with the topic of articulatory phonetics, so it's one that we do need to spend some time on this week with 4 different assignments. All right, so let's go ahead and move into Module 2, where I can introduce you to the assignments you'll be working on this week. All right, so moving on through all the assignments that you looked at last week, I hope you had a chance to explore some of the further exploration sections. Maybe you can pronounce some of the click sounds a little bit in the Xhosa language. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You also might have had a chance to take a look at the ingressive non-pulmonic consonants. This is an excerpt of the full IPA or International Phonetic Alphabet chart, which I'll tell you more about in just a few minutes. So maybe you were able to explore some of these sounds where you suck air in instead of sending air out. And of course, you had the chance to, I hope anyway, play around with the pink trombone a little bit so that there you could see how sounds are produced in the vocal tract using an electronic way to simulate that. All right, moving on to assignment 2.4. Okay, your first task with this one is to see if you can read that statement. That statement is in something called the International Phonetic Alphabet. And what is the International Phonetic Alphabet? It's basically just a universal spelling system, or a universal system for representing sounds in all the 7,000 to 8,000 languages that we have all around the world. And what is the purpose of this system if every language has a spelling system already? If you think about a word like thought in English, we have a few silent letters in that word. Do we need all those silent letters? Well, yeah, we do use them to spell the word, and that's what's been standardized over many years and throughout the history of English. But if you really think about the number of sounds in the word, there are 7 letters, but there are th, ah, t, 3 sounds in that word. So do we really need 7 letters to represent all those sounds? As I mentioned before, that is our spelling system. That's what's developed over time. But if you were going to be teaching how to pronounce that word to an English language learner, it would be a lot easier to use the International Phonetic Alphabet at first than use the English spelling system, because there are so many letters that it might be hard to represent the sounds. So to kind of close that gap between spelling and sound, the International Phonetic Alphabet is really, really useful. The same would apply if I were learning Japanese. Okay, before I know the spelling system and writing system very well, it might be helpful for me to see words represented using the IPA. I could learn how to pronounce a word even before I'm able to write it or spell it. So for language teachers and learners, the IPA is really useful. And you'll notice this is the system that's used in a lot of dictionaries. Maybe not all American dictionaries, but dictionaries that tend to be used internationally. So the Cambridge English Dictionary is going to use the IPA. So it's really helpful as a language teacher to have that tool. As a linguist, it's also very helpful because you might be doing field work in a language. Maybe the language is spoken but not written, and you want to be able to write down those sounds. So the IPA, again, would be very useful. So to test your recognition of IPA before you learn more about it, you can click on this link and type in what you think that statement says, and the Google form will tell you if you're right or not. All right, from there, you're going to be reading sections 2.3 and 2.4 of Chapter 2 in Essentials of Linguistics. There's a video you should definitely make sure you watch in section 2.3. And once you study those materials, then you can click on the 2.4 assignment link and take a quiz on that topic. That's really foundational to know what the IPA is and what it's used for and what those symbols mean. All right, and in 2.4a, here I give you a chart of the IPA for American English. In this course, we're only going to focus on American English. The IPA has a chart that has all the symbols of all the sounds for all the languages in the world. It's a big chart, and it would be one that would be difficult to master in a one-semester course where we look at everything related to linguistics. So we're just going to focus on American English. So these sounds, once you get familiar with the IPA, you'll want to take a look at them in this chart and kind of get familiar with where they're placed. Okay, place of articulation, these terms right here that you see going across the top, you're going to learn about in assignment 2.5. Manner of articulation, these terms going up and down over here, you will learn about in assignment 2.6. Okay, the other thing you should know, you did learn about this last week about voiced and voiceless sounds. Any sound in this chart that is bolded is a voiced sound. Any sound that's unbolded is a voiceless sound. So for example, p, b, okay, p is a voiceless sound, b is a voiced sound because you're actually activating your vocal folds when you say that sound. So this chart will come in handy to you as you move on down to further assignments. So just get yourself familiar with it here. Okay, in assignment 2.5 is where you will learn more about place of articulation. Place of articulation is basically where you're looking at consonant sounds and where in the vocal tract that sound is being obstructed or blocked. Okay, so you have a few options to learn about place of articulation. One, this link right here, place of articulation from the mimic method. I think it's a really nice overview of place of articulation, all the terminology that goes along with it. You can read about each place of articulation description and listen to sound files that illustrate each category. So you can kind of do a self-study. You can watch a screencast. Okay, you'll see an activated link here when you come into the module that I created that adds some extra explanation to this tutorial. So you're welcome to study it on your own, watch the screencast, do both, whatever works best for you to learn it. And then I've included another video on place of articulation from IPA Basics. This is a really good YouTube channel that explains these concepts in an easy to understand way. Okay, and after reviewing the above materials, then you're going to download the attached place of articulation chart and you're going to complete an exercise there. Okay, what you will notice is that in your version of this, in your module, you'll see a Mark as Review button down at the bottom of 2.5 here. Once you've gone through all the materials and you've had a chance to complete the chart, then when you click Mark as Review, it's going to open up 2.5a below. You won't see this initially. I'll explain to you why you need to click Mark as Review. So when you open this chart, you're going to do a little bit of sorting based on what you learned in the Mimic Method webpage, in my screencast or in your self-study. Okay, so in that webpage or in that screencast that I have linked there, you're going to learn about bilabial sounds, labiodental sounds, dental, etc. Okay, so all that will be familiar to you by the time you open this up. Once you've done that, what you're going to need to do then is to look at all these words here that are highlighted. Choose 10 of them and place them into the correct place of articulation category based on the highlighted sound. So, for example, the word nice. Okay, we'll do this one together. As you're going to learn, the place of articulation of the n sound is alveolar. So you would take this one here. I'll just copy it and put it right here. So you just need to do that for 10 of those words. Okay, you might not be sure if you're correct or not, right? You might be wondering, did I put these in the right place? This is pretty complicated stuff. There's a lot of terminology here. So the goal of Mark as Reviewed is that will open up the answer key, and then you can go ahead and open up this chart that has all the answers in it, and you can check to see if you were correct. And if you weren't correct, then you can go ahead and make some corrections. Okay, so as it tells you here, check your own work against the answer key, make necessary corrections, and then submit your completed chart at the 2.5 link. All right, now going down to assignment 2.6, you're going to follow exactly the same method, but for manner of articulation. Manner of articulation, as you'll learn from the tutorial or from my screencast or from the manner of articulation video, it's the way in which sounds are obstructed and filtered through the vocal tract. So it's another set of kind of sorting activities that you're going to do. So if I click on, it looks like I still need to upload that document there. I'll do that. But another chart is going to appear to you there, and you'll do the same kind of sorting, except you'll do it for manner of articulation. And once you click on Mark as Reviewed, it's again going to open up this answer key to you, and then you'll be able to make corrections as needed and then submit your work at 2.6. So the goal is that you take the time to try the activity on your own, see if you can get the right answers, open up the answer key, compare what you got to what I've given you, and then see what your gaps in knowledge might be. All right, the final thing you will study this week is vowels. So once you become familiar with the IPA and classifying consonants, okay, we'll wrap it up with vowels for the sound system of English. All right, so vowels are classified differently since they're produced without an obstruction in the vocal tract. In other words, they are sonorous sounds. Okay, so to learn about vowels, you'll go ahead and read 2.7 of Chapter 2 in Essentials of Linguistics, and then you'll study the IPA of American English vowels below. Okay, notice how we can describe the vowels based on this chart. So, for example, this E, like it looks like a letter I, would be described as a high front unrounded tense vowel. So this symbol right here, it's high, which means like your tongue is high in your mouth. It's front because the vowel is kind of focused towards the front section of your mouth. So E. It's also considered a tense sound because it feels very tight, almost like you're smiling. The muscles in the corner of your mouth are going to feel tense and tight. E, it's not rounded. I'm not rounding my lips to make that sound. And so those are basically all the descriptors we could use to describe that. A sound like ooh, by contrast, would definitely be a rounded sound. Okay, so based on what you learn in the reading and from studying the vowel chart, click on the 2.7 assignment above, and then you'll take a short quiz on vowel classification. Okay, so I think that's everything we have for this week. It's going to feel probably like a lot of symbols and terminology, a lot of material you may not have learned before. For that reason, don't forget, Monday and Wednesday, I'm in my virtual office hours from 2:15 to 4:15. If you feel confused about this, if there's anything that doesn't make sense, you're not sure what to do, you don't know what all these symbols are that you're looking at this week, please come and I will help you with it. I will go over anything you need to go over because I know it's new and it's almost like learning another language. So it's understandable that it might feel like complex at first, but it really isn't once you get into it. So Monday and Wednesday, 2:15 to 4:15. Friday, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. If none of those times work for you, get in touch with me. We can find another time that fits my schedule and your schedule. I'm more than happy to help you with this, and I have definitely found that with teaching online classes, when students drop by office hours, it really helps to boost your confidence. It helps you out with, burning questions that you might have had. So don't be shy. I'm here to help you. So I hope you have a great week. I look forward to helping you out this week with any questions you have by email and virtual office hours. And I'll see you all again next week.